G'day guys, and welcome to the ASX review for the 27th of December. Even though today is the actual 28th of December, I'm sorry, I am late. A few of my friends wanted to go see Star Wars yesterday, so I couldn't resist. I had to go see it, and it's actually pretty good if you haven't seen it yet. I can't say I'm the biggest Star Wars fan ever, but I actually quite enjoyed this one. It felt a lot more like the early ones that I remember. The proper ones: Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back, of course. Okay, so here we go, the ASX review. So this week, well, it's Christmas time, so not a lot is going to happen. The market moved a tiny bit, 0.08 up, closed at 6821. This is the XJO 200, 6821.7. It closed out. 107 stocks were up, 82 stocks were down, and 11 stocks shouldn't have got out of bed. They did absolutely nothing. Just before I start, as well, there's a couple of changes. They did their quarterly rebalance of the indexes, and in the XJ 200, the one I look at here, it's AP Eagers, APE, and INA. Can't think what they're called, but anyway, that's the code. INA are in. And two of my old favourites, Galaxy and Speedcast, are both out of the index, so you won't hear of them on this channel, at least for the time being. And good luck to them, hopefully they get back in one day, but for now they are out of the XAO 200. Okay, so the top 5 gainers for this week, and as you can see, dominated by gold stocks again. Gold Road up to $1.25.5, up 15.14%. That's Resolute there, up 12.84%. Silver Lake up 11.81%. The next one is not a gold stock, EML, which I'll take a little look at further in a moment. Had a decent week. It's actually had a decent year, up another 7% this week. And the last one there is Costa Group, up 6.97%, which hasn't had a good year, but had a good end. It's an interesting stock actually, Costa Group, right at the moment. That and another one which had a good week, which is not on the list, but not far off it, was Bega. Another one which has been struggling. Interesting to see what they do next year, whether they can turn it all around. As I said, EML is one that's had a good week and a good year. So I thought we'd just have a quick look at who they are and what they do. This is how they describe themselves. EML Payments Limited, the provider of payment solutions in Australia, offering payment technology solutions for payouts, gifts, incentives, and rewards, and supplier payments. EML issues mobile, virtual, and physical card solutions to some of the corporate brands around the world and manages more than 1,200 programs across North America, Europe, and Asia. So that's what they do. Just looking at a few of the numbers, they're a decent sized company with a market cap anyway of 1.5 billion. Revenues of 97 million. This is from their last annual report. Earnings before income tax, depreciation and amortization is just below 30 million. They've got 33 cash in the bank, 33 million cash in the bank, and their PE ratio is a pretty solid 140. So interesting company. They're priced for a lot of growth. The market is really liking this business at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what they do next year. If you have a look, the next slide is their chart for this year, and as you can see, it's been a bumper year. If you're looking back, well, they started probably, probably around the $1.30, about $1.30, and finished up near $4.70. So that's a pretty good return for 1 year. And I know 140 for a PE can be scary, but I know I've spoken about WiseTech in the past, and I did a video about them quite a few years back, how their PE was over 100, and that's when they were maybe a $5 stock, maybe a $6 stock, and now they're a $25 stock. So high PEs are nothing to be scared of if they're in a high growth sort of industry, or they're a high growth business at least. And revenues are increasing dramatically. People will pay good money for those sorts of stocks because there aren't that many around. So they do attract a pretty big premium. So anyway, EML, I'm not going to say too much more about them. I think they're one if you're into this sort of thing, you can investigate them further and make your own decision of them, but definitely one worth looking at. Okay, now the top 5 losers for the week, and as you can see there, the losses weren't substantial. Being a short week, missing those 2 days and the half day in there as well, the movement wasn't huge. Orocobre was the worst performer on the 200 this week, down 4.4%. Nearmaps, they're an interesting business as well. They often appear on the top 5 winners and the top 5 losers. So the upshot is they're a volatile stock, very tradable stock. So another interesting business that I enjoy looking at and trading. ASB, and that's just escaped me. Oh, that's Austal, of course. Good local business in WA here, just down the road in Henderson. Shipbuilders, they had a pretty poor week, but I think that's on the back of a pretty good year as well. Down 3.23% for the week. CIMIC Group, is it CIMIC? Yes, CIMIC, it is. They've lost another 2.6% this week, and they have had a very poor year. From memory, this stock was over $50 at some points in this year, so it's down a good, what's that, nearly 40% off its highs for the year. Which is in an industry that hasn't had, in a sector I should say, that hasn't had too bad a year. So CIMIC unperforming badly. And the last one there is CKF, which is Collins Foods. Again, they've had a pretty good year. They're down 2% this week. They're a stock I used to short around the $5 markets. Thank goodness I weren't short them this year, because they've had a pretty good year, up at $9.16 to finish the year off. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to talk about any of the losers because there's really not much there of note. I'll end it here just by saying Happy New Year to everybody. 2020, I think, is going to be a really interesting year for the market. Maybe I say that every year, but I really think next year, obviously you got the Americans going to the polls, so that's going to dominate a lot of the headlines. You still got this trade war going on, as you can see by the gold price this week. That's still not completely resolved yet, and a lot of doom and gloom. That's always there. It's always there. People are always going to talk down the market and predict the crash and that sort of thing. I've put it out there that I think 2020 is actually going to be a really good year for Australia. And we'll wait and see. I'm excited to see if that prediction comes true. I said the XJO will hit 8,000. It's just throwing it out there. I'm just fairly positive on things at the moment. Of course, that can change. So happy New Year. I'll be back next week to talk more. I've got an idea. I actually want to talk about oil. I put a what do they call it? A survey, a poll on my Facebook page back in September. Just I put no thoughts on it. I just put would you buy oil, yes or no. I didn't have a lot of response on it. What I was expecting is that people would be overall negative on oil. I want to see what people's thoughts were and what their bias was, and if people are against oil because maybe they have a moral issue with oil, or they think that the electric industry is taking over the world and oil's on the decline. I just want to sort of get an idea of what people's biases perhaps were on oil. That poll didn't really give me much, because there's only 14 people that voted on it, and I think it was like 8-6 in favour. People are saying they would buy oil stocks. So yeah, I just want to talk more about oil and some of those old world sort of things that don't excite people, but actually could be pretty good, even gold and silver in the coming year. No worries, guys. I'll try and get that video out sometime. Again, I'll make no promises. Been really busy with life in general lately, so it has been sort of hard. But I waffle on. I won't anymore. Have a good day. Have a good week. I'll talk to you next week sometime. Catch you guys.